say enough good things about even the person he is too. And I just think Peter Bendix kind of needs to make a splash, and this is a bit of a splashy pick. Yes, they're so good at developing arms, um, but you need a hit too, and there's two sides of the game.
Did you have this in your mock, or was he earlier? So this is kind of a bat that fell to you. I had a feeling this was where it would go.
It fell. I had Smith around the 11 mark.
Okay.
In my regular one, I had them taking Waldschmidt here. Mm-hmm. But if Cam Smith is still on the board at 16, I think that's a much better play than Waldschmidt.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree with that. I kind of feel opposite to you guys. I think like you go with your strengths, and obviously this is a brand new regime, but they haven't, as far as I know, completely overhauled player dev yet. I think they've made some changes, but like I feel like you just play to your strengths here with this team. Like they can't develop bats. They haven't shown the ability to develop bats, but they've been able to develop frontline starters. So I mean, the way I see it, like here, I would probably go Caminiti. I had I forget his name. I had the William Schmidt here slated in my early mock, just because I kind of felt a little better about the stuff there at the time. But the more I looked into the prep arms since then, I would definitely agree that Caminiti is probably the best arm in this class. And I would just go there because I think you do what you do best, and that would be developing arms for them. And if they're going to trade Luzardo, like I think they just start trading off their arms, their best arms that are young and controllable, and start getting really high-level bats that not like a guy that's in single A that's 18 that you'd have to develop, but a guy that's been raking through the minors and is close to pro ready. And I think for me, like where they currently stand, that's how I would go about developing that lineup. So I would be kind of probably going Caminiti here, which I knew both of you guys were going college bats, so I thought it was really interesting that I haven't really seen. Like I feel like I'm the only one that feels this way. Like I haven't read about this philosophy like at all. Them going with the arms, so maybe it's because none of them are really good enough to take at 16. Because like in the real draft, Caminiti is probably not falling to them. But that was just something I wanted to put out there. But
No, I mean, I get it, and I honestly like that you're kind of thinking this way, like where it's like, we're so good at developing these arms, we might as well take another one and develop him and kind of sit on him for a few years, not have to feel like we need to rush in. And then, like you said, like they're going to sell a lot of pieces at the deadline. So you do have the opportunity to take some young bats, or even maybe an established bat, maybe like a guy who's like 24, 25, something like that. I'm going to move on here. You just mentioned him. It's not Caminiti, though. Caminiti's kind of falling right now. But I have the Brewers taking William Schmidt, the prep guy, right-handed pitcher. I had him in my mock. It just makes a lot of sense to me. 6'4", 180. You just lost Corbin Burns. He's obviously not Corbin Burns. No one is. But you have Jacob Mussorowski, however you pronounce it, sitting in your farm too. He's 6'7", $190. Obviously, Schmidt has a lot of frame to fill out. He's 18. Mussorowski's 22. Mussorowski's ready. But this is kind of another potential guy where you could get a big-time pitcher like this. D.L. Hall. I'm not a big fan of D.L. Hall, and he's been kind of hurt, I think, or he's either hurt or just not performing too well, or just isn't even up at all. I don't know. Obviously, you hit with Joey Ortiz, it looks like, at least. He's super good. You got a bunch of good young position players, Churio, Turang, Sal Frelick. So you can kind of sit back and just take the best prep arm available. And I think the Brewers at least look at William Schmidt as the best prep arm available. Caminiti has really good stuff. I just think Schmidt is a little safer, and for a small market team, you're going to want to be a little bit safer.
I actually like this strategy. In my actual mock, I have Honeycutt going here, but the Brewers they've been better of late developing bats, but it's kind of been a question mark in their developmental system around the bats. So I think an arm makes a lot of sense. And the rotation, like you look at that rotation right now and it's frontline by Colin Ray, and you're like, what the hell are we doing? Like you got to take some guys that you think can fill those spots. And I know it's small markets, so you're not going to have the flashy names for a lot of years, and you'll have Woodruff back next year. So you get some decent guys back, but like D.L. Hall isn't working out at all. that's been kind of blowing up in their face. The Jory Ortiz thing is working, but you need arms, and I think that the pitcher strategy makes a lot of sense. I like it.
It's right. I also had Van Tanka in this spot. I didn't even realize until I just checked. But I don't think there's a flaw in it. I think what they'll actually do is probably stay with the college bat route. I think they've been developing a lot of their young guys that they got in the last 2 drafts really well.
Frelick, one of them.
Yeah, I mean, like Baitanti, Pratt, the college guys, they're all performing, and they're kind of making them look like geniuses. Like the depth and the strength of the bats that they've gotten in the last couple of years, I think they'd probably stick with that route.
Was Tyler Black a college bat too, or was
he
a high school guy? Okay,
he was a second. He was their second round pick. I think it was like 2021 or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe it was 2020, but
I mean, maybe they have been pretty good at developing pitching in the past too. So maybe
I agree with that. Like
they'll take a college bat now, and then they can feel comfortable waiting back on some pitchers too.
I don't think there's an issue with the pick. I would if this happened, I'd say good pick. But I just don't really know if it's going to happen. But I really like William Schmidt. I think some people are a little worried about like the starter arsenal maybe with him. But I like it. The stuff pops off the screen. I mean, if you can just get a third pitch in there, which is a little inconsistent with like my opinions on Hagen Smith, but this is literally 10 picks down the board. But I think it's a lot an arm to really work with. And I remember there's so much room for him to grow. He's 6'4", 182.
Yeah, he's got
97, 98. I mean,
yeah, this is a guy who could be throwing 101 in a couple of years.
Yeah, this is a guy with legit frontline potential.
And
you get
like you said, though, I think the safe thing with him and why he's safe, in my opinion, is if he doesn't really pan out with a starter arsenal, you could really have no problem putting him into a bullpen role.
You have an MLB player one way or another. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I do like the player. I'm actually a lot of people are saying the prep class isn't very good compared to recent years, and it might not be, but we're not going to know until at least like 2-3 years down the line, more like 3 to 5. But I was like reading more about the prep class, especially a lot of the arms. There's a lot of arms that are like 6'4", like Desan Hill is like 6'4", 160.
Just like wiry guys.
Yeah, like there's so much clay here. I feel like I've grown to like a lot of the prep guys in the like 2nd to 4th round area, and William Schmidt and Cam Caminiti is going to be my pick here. Are no different. Like I think there's a lot of potential with these guys. Seeing that like Caminiti's not going to get past the Rays, it was a big question mark since he's fallen between him and Benj for me. But I mean, like there's like no one could tell you what the Rays are going to do, and I think like
totally.
Just the talent here, especially with the woes they've had, they probably would think like they can't have too many arms. And I would think like if they were to go trade Isak Paredes and Randy Rosarena, I'm thinking that they're probably going to get some kind of bats back and maybe target orgs that have better hitters in them, especially because they have kind of struggled to develop outfielders specifically outside of Josh Lowe and Randy. But
I feel like with at least their pitching injury in the past too, now they're taking a pitcher for them too.
They have a whole rotation of guys on the IL. It's like a quality rotation of 5 guys that could you'd probably take over most MLB rotations that are just injured right now. It's crazy.
Totally. So for listeners, OC has taken Cam Caminiti at 18. So that gives us Will at 19.
With the New York Mets, he's still on the board, and you mentioned his name, but Carson Benj, an outfielder out of Oklahoma State. If Honeycutt is here, they go Honeycutt. If it's not, I think it's Benj. I think he's the next. I think he's the safer of the two. Definitely not as much upside, but he's got like 5 solid tools. Maybe not a 5-tool player, but he kind of plays all 5 things. Like he's going to get a solid player. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like he does everything good. He's got a lot of extra base hit potential. Maybe not a huge home run guy. Maybe a 20-20 guy at the next level. The stolen base thing is kind of back and forth. I think he's better on the bases than he actually runs. He had 10 last year, but he hit 335, 444, 665. He's got a solid arm, and he's got really good gap-to-gap ability. And I just like him a lot. I've come to like him over the last couple of weeks as I've been looking more and more into these players. And he's been a guy that's jumped up my board from like comp pick range up into the teens. And I'm a big fan of him in this spot. I think the Mets would get a really, really good spot here if they can get him.
Yeah, I agree. He's a guy that's jumped on my boards too. I didn't think he was as lean as he was, being 6'1", 184. Like, I feel like there's definitely room he could add another 10 pounds or so. I think there's a very real possibility, though, that he's not on the board here. Him nor Honeycutt are available, which would be really interesting for the Mets. That's just a guy like Brody Brecht or Tommy White. If Cam Smith is available or Tibbs or any of those guys fall, I'm not as big on Seaver King for the Mets, although a lot of people would say that's like the Honeycutt of the infield. That's just a luxury pick that you can go with and not really worry about. But like Brecht just has like unreal stuff. And I would think for me, it kind of goes like Honeycutt, Benj, then Brecht, then Tommy White. But it's kind of hard to say those last two because they're both almost certainly going to be available for them to pick between. But it just kind of could college bat or college arm. But I love the Benj pick. Kind of lucked out. I kind of knew you'd go with that if I took Caminiti, but like seeing multiple reports that he's not getting past the Rays, but also seeing that you don't know what the Rays are going to do, you don't really know. But
yeah,
I mean, I like it. Benj isn't really like a sexy name or anything like that. He's just a really good hitter, a really good player. He raked at Oklahoma State for the past few years. He used to be a two-way. If correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he did used to be a two-way.
He had Tommy John, so he missed all of last year.
That makes sense.
It was either all of 2022 or all of 2023. But I was going to ask that if you, as being the Mets, would you draft him as a two-way? Just because, like, why not? Because they've done it before. Like, I mean,
I think you would. I think you would just to kind of see how it pans out. Give him a few starts wherever he ends up right away. If he doesn't do well, no worries. He still rakes. He's still a first round comp type round bat in my opinion. I had him mocked to the Rays just because he reminded me a bit of Brandon McKay. And obviously McKay hasn't panned out, but I feel like it would just be fun for the Rays to try to mold another two-way guy like that or something along those lines.
Yeah, I also had him. I had Honeycutt at 17, Benj at 18, which was really heartbreaking as a Met fan. So see those guys go off the board. But I didn't even realize he really pitched kind of well this year in 36 innings, 22 hits, 11 walks with 42 strikeouts. So he did sub-1 whip. And he also had a 165 opponent batting average, 17 appearances, 4 starts with 36 innings and 3 saves to a 2.75 ERA. I didn't think he was pitching that much this year, but that's a lot more volume than I thought there was. So, I mean, I would probably – it's knowing the Mets, just with the luxury they can take with this pick, I'd probably surely going to let him two-way, even though they all know it's probably going to end up being him in right field at some point.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to move on to 20 here. And this is kind of an interesting pick. I believe I had Vance Honeycutt to the Blue Jays here. I just kind of jumped the gun with the Cubs just because I feel like it'd be like a Cubs thing to take Honeycutt. I have the Blue Jays taking Tommy White at 20. And you might think it could be a bit of a reach, but it makes a little bit of sense to me. They don't have a true third baseman who's even in their top 12 prospects right now. They have 4 left-handed pitching prospects in their top 10. They have a second baseman in Elvis Martinez, steroids or whatever he did aside. Arjun Nimala is legit, and I really believe in him. He's not going to be up for a little while longer. But Tommy White, especially I don't know what they're going to do with Vladdy Jr. This whole deadline is really going to dictate. I guess the draft is actually before the deadline. So I guess what they do in the draft is going to dictate to me what they do at the deadline. But
where their heads are at.
This guy had 75 home runs in 3 years of college ball. He literally just hits tanks. Blue Jays might need a power hitter if they have no – I mean, even if they do have Vladdy, I think they do need a power hitter. There's a lot of guys who are struggling in the power department right now. George Springer being sort of one of them, and I know he's an outfielder, White's a third baseman. But I think you're kind of just in a position for Toronto where time's running out fast, and if for some reason they do keep Atkins around and keep Schneider around, I think Tommy White sort of fits what they're trying to do.
It's also just clutch. I mean, 249 career RBIs in 3 years.
Yeah,
He had
it's insane.
You're looking for
he had
a guy
109 last year.
Yeah.
109 were in 1 year in the national championship year.
And on like a top 15
in
LSU
college
this
baseball,
year, he'd probably have it again. It's just LSU is severely underperforming. Otherwise, I think he's way up there, close to 100 again this year. It's just,
I mean, yeah, he still had, what did he have? He had 70 this past year.
yeah.
So I'm gonna spin this pick just a little bit. So I think that Tommy White is a pro first baseman. I think he is below average to mediocre at third, and he will
I
not play
agree.
third at the next level. I think he's going to be a first
Disagree.
DH. In my mock, I actually have them Dakota Jordan because of the same reason, just like a heavy hitting bat. Like I think you take the best power bat available, whether that's Tommy. I have Tommy White going before this, so that's why I had Jordan there. But with Tommy White, like I think you take him, and then it gives you the room to shop Vladdy if you want to, because you have that guy in the pipeline, and it's not like he's just a power hitter. Like he hits. I mean, he had a down year this year overall hitting, and he still hit 330. And he still hit 24 home runs and 70 RBIs. Like he hit almost 30 home runs last year, and he had 109 RBIs. Like he's going to produce at the next level offensively, and it gives you that freedom to shop Vladdy for something good in return. And they need a lot of help right now, so you might as well.
Can you imagine your worst career at college OPS being 1,000 or 1030?
1039.
Like
Dude, his career OPS, he's like 1.1 dotting. Like it's like
yeah,
It's
1125. Like
this was his worst year of college baseball, and he
yeah,
still
it's like
had
it's like
70
your
RBIs,
OPS
25
wasn't
home
in the
runs.
1.1s. Like yeah, you had a down year, dude.
yeah, I gotta give a quick shout out to Summers Method, a guy I've been following for like 4 years now. Like kinesiology, like biomechanics guy. He was actually at URI a couple years ago, and he's kind of started his own training facility. He's gotten some big league talent, and Tommy White is a guy he's worked with for I think over a year, maybe 2 years now, and I believe that if he were to stay with this guy, Thomas Summers Method, on socials, YouTube, Instagram, like wherever you look it up, you'll be able to find it. Like it's kind of new wave type stuff, and I believe that with this training, like he'll become a serviceable athlete to stay at third. I saw somewhere, and I don't think I have the kind of access to confirm it, but he like had 9 defensive runs saved at third, or led D1 third baseman in defensive runs saved this year. And that kind of doesn't, I don't know if that really puts into question like range factor, and his OAA might be worse because like estimated success rate and all that stuff. But it seems like if the ball's getting in the glove, it's going to be an out. And that was something that had been talked about watching LSU games late this year, was that the defense took a big stride. People question the ability for it to stick that way at the next level, but knowing like the person he trains with and being a big fan of it for so long, I believe in the athleticism getting to or staying at a point where he will be able to maintain his position at third. That doesn't make me change my thoughts on the pick. I think it's a great pick. It's one of the reasons why I would love him being with the Mets, was because I believe in the athleticism, not getting to a point where it's not good for him. Like he won't be able to move anywhere that's not first base. But I love the pick. I think it's a great pick, and I'm a big fan of Tommy White. And
Dude,
I think
he would be so fun in Toronto too.
Yeah,
like,
he'd probably
I
love
could
it
just
there.
picture him as a DJ, dude.
He'd be
He would
so
love it there.
fiery.
The fans would love him, dude. Like he could do some Batista-esque stuff there.
I wouldn't put it past. I think it's a great fit.
All right, OC at 21.
Oh, actually, I did want to ask, where did you have him, Will? You said he went earlier than this, but
I had him going to the Rays, so I have him at 18, so just before.
Okay.
And I think I had him to the Rangers like late in the first round in my first mock.
I think it's like where the consensus kind of is down that area.
I just kind of like the fit in Toronto, and I like the way the board shaped out. I liked it just because I had JJ. I mean not JJ. Vance. At this spot.
Really?
So
yeah.
Yes. All right. Who are the Minnesota
21 to the Twins for OC?
I'm going to stick with my mock. I think it's really interesting because I've seen some things after we posted this that maybe there was a potential concern with the like in-game power, and I just don't. I think in due time, like it's like not going to be an issue. I'm going to stick with the Twins going high school bat, and I think I haven't really seen him in the first round. I'm going to go PJ Morlando, and the whole point is kind of to save money. Like his stock has dropped, but I mean he's putting balls at the combine over 110. Like it's obviously just BP, but like he showed like he was taking inside pitches, going 110 and keeping them fair. And it was just like stuff that you're not seeing from average ball players and stuff like that. And I think he's either going to be a first baseman or he's going to be able to stay in the outfield. You don't have an answer at first base. I don't really think they have like a pipeline answer at first base either. So there's not like an issue like of where he could play or where he's going to play because they don't have set answers there. And I think he's going to hit. And I think this is a guy where you could sign him away for somewhat under slot, or he could just like go to college and be the 4th overall pick, the Nick Kurtz of the class in a couple of years with worse defense at first base or something like that. I don't know.
And I don't think Minnesota would get compensation for this, right? So they would have.
Yeah, if they don't sign him, the only issue is that they lose all that money.
Yeah.
Cool. So like they wouldn't just get to go spend $3 million elsewhere just because they didn't get him. They'd lose that $3 million from their pool.
I think taking like an outfielder in Morlando, I at least view him a little bit more of an outfielder, although I could totally see him playing first base. I think it kind of lines up with your pick with Walker Jenkins last year too. If you could sort of get those two guys up in a similar time frame, that's Justin Morneau and Jason Kuba right there, pretty much to throw some really throwback names up there. But I don't know. I like this. I like this fit. Morlando's not really in the top 30 in my mind. He's more of a comp guy, but I mean, if the Twins are going to save money, this is absolutely what they do.
Yeah, that's like the main driver of the reasoning for this pick is it's like they like to go high school bats recently. I would think that they might go target an arm in a second or a comp situation. I think saving money by going a high school bat you like if they believe in him. Like I think a team that believes in Orlando is going to view him as a top 25 player probably. So if this is them and they're an analytic heavy team, I'm pretty sure too. So if he fits into their models with what they've seen or what they actually believe him to be, then you could get your guy while saving money to go get like a high school arm that falls, just because high school arms really just tend to fall historically, especially in the past few years. Like everyone thinks the top 2 guys are going to go in the top 15 or 18 picks, and then one of them might go, but then you see like 3 guys go in 31 to 39 with the comp pick. So that's kind of how I would envision this going, and they get both their guys the same way they did with Jenkins and Soto last year, pretty much.
Yeah, I know. I like it. All right, who do the Orioles get at 22, Will?
This is going to stick with my mock. As much as I want to shift some things around with availability, the Orioles' ability to develop like really high ceiling college bats the last couple years has just been absurd. And they're going to do it again because this guy's probably going to be on the board at 22. I got them taking Billy Amick, third baseman out of Tennessee. They did it with Kjerstad. They've done it. I mean, they've done it with everybody. Like, and they're going to add a 55 hit, 55 power kind of bat to their farm system who's going to be ready. And I know it's a log jam in the system, but when you've done that for so long, so well these past couple of years with like guys like Rutschman, and it just seems like why not? Like he's going to be there. Why don't you take him? You could go the Brody Brecht route with some of the arm injuries and develop an arm and kind of hopefully get a rotation guy out of him or maybe a back end guy. But when they're healthy, like that pitching staff is really solid. So to me, you just take one of the best, if not the best available hitters left on the board, and you just let him log jam you more. And maybe you end up trading him. Who knows? Maybe you end up trading somebody else that's stopping the gap between like Connor Norby and all these other studs they have. But you might as well take him. And he's such a good hitter. I mean, just crazy power production. He had 23 bombs, 65 RBIs. He OPS'd over 1. So he's a really good hitter.
I just want to ask one thing real quick. I know you guys both love Amick. You guys are both big Tennessee fans. I got to go to the bathroom. So I'll ask this question, hear your answer, and bounce, and let you guys take over. Who would you have gone with? Because you said availability. Like, was it going to be Brecht? just because of the pure luxury of the pick. Like you said, there was potential to shake things up because of availability of certain guys. I want to know like what guys made you question where you'd go.
Yeah, like I have Amick here in my actual mock,
Yeah.
but I think if he's off the board, like if you don't have him, but Brecht is there, maybe you go him. Maybe they go Waldschmidt, but I think Amick grades out better than Waldschmidt. I think he grades out better than Seaver King too, even with the positional value that you get with King. So I just think Amick is like the best bat, and you might as well just take him and see what you do with him. And he probably never ends up playing for the Orioles. I'd be willing to bet if they take him, he gets traded somewhere and gloves it at third for somebody else. Yeah, but like they're going to develop him and he's going to be a stud, and then he's going to get stuck in AAA like the rest of their guys are right now.
Yeah.
I really like, and OC, go to the bathroom now because I want you to see my next pick because I think Will's really going to like it. But to stay on this pick right now, I have Amick going a little bit later in my mock to the Diamondbacks. But, dude, like, it makes so much sense that they could go this route because, like, they develop like crazy with those college bats.
They can do whatever they want.
Dude. Like, I hadn't really paid attention to it until this year. But like it's just like it's Mayo, it's Norby, like all these guys who just seem kind of stuck there. And like if anything, like you can just use Amick as another trade chip like a year later if you need like a really good arm, like a Garrett Crochet type or something like that. Or who knows, like maybe they want to trade for Crochet this deadline just because he's already developed and you're like, yeah, like let's throw like Amick and Mayo into a package or something, maybe something a little cheaper than that. I don't know how much Crochet is going to.
You get him and like a Mac Horvath together, and that probably gets it done for a lot of top level arms. So it's like, to me, it's for them. It's just becomes a why not pick. Like he grades out really well. I know he missed some time this year with injury. I think he got his appendix taken out at one point during the year, so he had some weird stuff happen where he missed some games. But he's over a 300 hitter. He's going to slug. He's going to hit doubles. He's going to hit bombs. I know he strikes out a little bit, but he's only
going to get better in the Orioles organization too. Hitting development. I honestly, if I'm Amick and I'm getting drafted by them, I'm enthusiastic. Even though you might get log jammed and there's going to be a lot of competition there, I'm super happy with what I'm going to get in terms of development for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we'll move to your pick since you think I'm going to like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that I got the Dodgers. It's kind of cool how we all like landed on different picks for each other's favorite teams. But I have the Dodgers going at 22. Sorry, with 23 with Jonathan Santucci.
That's what I have.
I think it makes so much sense, dude. There's some injury concerns there, and he's missed a lot of time throughout his career at Duke. But his strikeout stuff is off the charts. 90 strikeouts in 58 innings this year with Duke. They do have one left-handed pitcher in their top 12 prospects, Jackson Ferris, but I think they're I just think their philosophy right now is like they're going to buy some bats and they're going to develop their pitchers. They're such a pitcher-heavy organization. Urias, who knows what his status is right now. Kershaw is only getting older. I just think it makes a lot of sense going out and getting Santucci. You're at a position right now if you're the Dodgers where you can kind of take whoever you think fits best for you just because you have so much talent at the major league level and there wouldn't be any need to rush Santucci. I just want him to be a Dodger, dude.
I can't believe that you have him here. I've seen him like consensus in the comp picks to early second round, and I thought it was like stretching that I put him for the Dodgers at 23. He is my favorite player in college baseball. If you've been following us, you know how often I tweet about him. I will buy a Santucci jersey immediately on draft day if he gets drafted there.
And who knows? Maybe I'm just feeling it because I'm on your show, and I know I'm a big Santucci guy too. I faced him in high school. He ripped a single up the middle against me. He was hitting against me. I also pitched against Thomas White, the Marlins pitcher. He hit a sac fly against me. I got shelled by Phillips Andover. Both of those guys were on the same team. But besides the point, I just think it makes so much sense for him to be a Dodger. And I get it. I get the mocks having him later on, especially with the injury concerns. But this is a guy with he could very well end up having some of the best strikeout stuff, like right up there with Hagen Smith in this class.
He's awesome. And I know the walks are a little bit more, than they have been in years past. But like when he's on, like he doesn't walk anybody. Everything is earned. I mean, I know the 3.41 ERA is a little bit off putting, but he's got a 188 batting average against. Like he is what I define as like a pitcher, not a thrower. Like he's got 3 legit pitches and he spots up all 3, and he is such a miserable at bat for college hitters. He's so much fun to watch. And the Dodgers are notorious for going prep arms. And that's why I'm like holding my tongue on this pick and not getting overly excited, because they will break my heart and go prep arm. But the ability for them to develop great college arms recently has been amazing. So I love this pick. Like, and Buehler has not shown that he is like fully back yet. I don't think he will be for another year or so. So I think you got to go college arm, and especially with the rotation injuries that they've had. So I love this pick.
OC, any thoughts, or are you going to move us right on to
the
Braves?
I haven't been the biggest believer in Santucci, but I think it was more – I kind of early on thought it was more just like a really polished lefty that could hit his spots consistently. That was really what was carving college guys up. But if the stuff really is there, then yeah, I think it's a good pick. And he's not like it's now or never if they like him. Like I think you guys brought up great reasons. I also thought they're just gonna go like prep arm. So I had like Levi Sterling here. It's kind of like a plug because I
could totally see that too. I
just really like him, and I kind of wanted to sneak him in. Like he's right in their backyard. Another Harvard Westlake guy or Notre Dame guy, and I was just looking at the prep arms just now too. Like Braylon Doughty's from California too, so he might be like a guy they were to go to over him, but they're very different guys. Like Braylon Doughty's 6'1", 196, kind of maxed, I think, but Levi's 6'5", 205.
As dean of the Skipper's View, the basically co-founder of the Skipper's View would call you OC. You're becoming a bit of a prep arm whore right now. I feel like you're kind of falling in love with a lot of prep arms.
Well, yeah, I am. Not even gonna lie, but Levi Sterling's been a guy I've liked the whole kind of cycle. But I think maybe the fastball is not where you'd think it would be yet. But I think there might be some room for him to gain velocity, which might be why there's a little bit of a difference between him and Braylon Doughty. But I think arm here is a good choice. Like they can develop bats. My one thing would be like Will said, like don't rule out high school guys. I would not rule out any of the prep bats here. Kellen Lindsey, Slade Caldwell, just because they don't have a lot of up the middle talent in that farm. So I
want to point something out quick. We haven't taken Seaver King. If Seaver King somehow makes it to 23, they have to take him, right? With the up the middle issues, and Mookie Betts probably not staying at shortstop for the rest of his career. I mean that's just not viable for them. Like you got to take him, right?
Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't. If they don't believe in him as a shortstop, because some teams don't.
That's true, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. But I think Santucci's a great pick. I think the Dodgers are the team that gets him to that ceiling. And I think
100%.
This makes it very
for me, it's either Dodgers or Braves. So I think he could definitely get taken around this zone right now. I mean, speaking of Braves, let's see what you got at 24, OC.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this would be like a surprise pick or not. Just another team that lacks bats and lacks a specific position, a premium position. And I think this is just going to be it's not as much of like this guy fell in their lap as much as it is like just kind of taking a guy that matches up with their draft position in Kalen Culpepper, shortstop from Kansas State. I think it's just like a good fit for them. I originally was kind of going along the lines with you guys earlier in the draft, like just letting the power bats start kind of flowing. Like once Tommy White goes, Amick, Dakota, Jordan, like they'll start going and stuff like that. But I kind of switched my tune. I thought like I had Kalen Culpepper. I was staring at like pick 35 and still ain't gone. And I was like, this just doesn't seem right. And I was looking back, like the Braves don't have hitters. They don't even have a shortstop. Like Jeb Mays, our resident corn guy, who's like loves Nacho Alvarez Jr. It's like, man, like he might end up good, but right now it's like if that's who you're raving about, it just seems like things might be a little bleak. So not too much.
I didn't expect it. I honestly thought you were going to go with Brody Brecht here. I mean, I have Brecht with this too. I feel like if you can get Brecht and Waldrop back-to-back drafts, you're kind of stealing the later rounds.
I do agree.
But like they do have a lot of pitchers right now, and they definitely hit on the sale trade as long as he stays healthy. I think he still has another few good years left in the tank. And like, how much longer can you keep trying at Orlando Arcia there too? So
Right.
Can't.
The one thing I will say is with like the kind of the reason like I didn't go Brecht was I think there was belief, like if you're not well aware, like I'm not afraid to go say like I think Florida fucked Hurston Waldrop like really badly.
I think so.
I mean, I'd saved some tweets just like I didn't have to like consistently go find it all the time, but like he became super predictable. Like he was throwing heavy, he had heavy usage of specific pitches in certain counts and stuff like that. And I think he became really predictable. And like there was fastball behind the count, like one of his worst commanded pitches, like just not being thrown for strikes in unfavorable counts and stuff like that. Like counts where if he doesn't throw a strike, it's going to lead to a walk, and if he doesn't like paint his spot, it's going to get crushed type of a thing. And there was a belief that I think he could have like decent command. Like he had just come off of 3.3 walks per nine at Southern Miss the year before transferring to Florida. So I think there's like some sort of belief, but Brecht has never shown like that kind of command and control where he can limit walks. And I think maybe that draft time there was a belief that Waldrop could. So I think that's for me the difference there.
I feel the same way about Culpepper. Like I have him in my comp picks. That's where I landed with him, but it was the same thing. I'm looking at him at like 34 and I'm like, do I really think he's going to fall there? I actually have the Braves going Malcolm Moore here or best available catcher. I think Jacob Kozar is catcher one in this draft. I don't care what anyone else says. I know the consensus is that it's Malcolm Moore. I just don't think he's good enough defensively. I think Jacob Kozar is catcher one and we'll go earlier than this, but I think you're spot on. The Braves have a lot of arms in the farm, so you got to go bat here. I think it's best available kind of thing, but I really like that shortstop pick. To me, I struggled picking whether or not I like Griff O'Farrell or Culpepper more. But O'Farrell just doesn't offer the power. Like he's going to hit, but he's a contact first kind of guy. He's going to glove it well, but
the power's not going to come.
Yeah.
Like power,
it won't. Yeah.
Power could come with Culpepper. It remains to be seen. I like it. You guys would like to go with this pick because it's something that's kind of up in the air. It really is. Like personally, I don't really care about who's catcher one in this class. I just don't think any of them are good enough for me to pick in the first round. With there might not be so much like top end talent, but there's so much talent that's so close together. It's like you're going to be able to pick a guy that's probably better than one of these catchers. I've heard Walter Janik's the best defensive catcher, but might be the worst offensive catcher of like the first round caliber catchers. Like Malcolm Moore, I think it was Joe Doyle tweeted, made himself a lot of money because it was like widely viewed around the league that he killed interviews, and it was like 90 grade makeup. So
his batted ball data was crazy, even though his numbers were really bad at Stanford this year. Everyone was just raving about his batted ball data. So he's like getting a lot more credit than I think he earned with his numbers. But
first round.
The thing that knocks Moore down a little bit for me is actually not as bad. I think in the field he's not as good as some of the other catchers up here. But like you said, like being like an Adley Rutschman, like captain type catcher behind the dish, and like having that sort of type 1 personality, like where you can command the rest of the field is super important. And if Moore killed interviews, I could see him making a lot of money and being that first guy off the board. Makes sense.
Track record's just not there either for first round catchers.
Yeah,
like Shea Langford is the last catcher I like in the first round, and even then you might say it was a mistake, even though he crushes the ball and he's got a cannon of an arm. But
it's just tough to say because it seems to be like general consensus that Moore won't stick behind the plate at the next level. So it's hard to say, like, even though he's killing interviews, like say that field.
I honestly, I do look at Moore, at least in the latter half of his career, as more of a first baseman type.
Yeah. I think we all pretty much feel very similarly about that.
Let's go Padres at 25.
It's all you.
This is
This is you, bro.
Yeah, this is you.
No, that he That's me.
Yeah.
All right.
I just went
Oh,
with
that is right. That is right. I thought I was on the Yankees. All right.
No, you're good.
Is this Slade
Padres
Caldwell?
here. No, I think I'm gonna change my answer here. I think I'm gonna go with Blake Burke for the Padres, first
Wow.
baseman out of Tennessee. Originally, in my mock I have Jared Thomas, outfielder from Texas, going here. I'm gonna bump Burke up from the Yankees to the Padres. The
Dude,
Padres
Blake Burke would
infield,
be such a fit in the Yankees.
dude. I know that's also like a fit pick for me is Burke to the Yankees. I love it. I mean, he's 70 grade power. He just smashes the ball. He was one of the headliners in that Tennessee lineup this year. He had 20 bombs, 61 RBIs, 1.151 OPS. We saw some weekends where he struggled in the average department. A lot of it was on like pitches on the inner half of the plate. But he doesn't strike out a ton for a guy with that makeup. Like for the guys that are big bodied, hit the ball really hard. He's 6'3", 235. He doesn't strike out as much as you'd think. And so
He's
I
willing
think
to
that's going
run,
to play.
too.
What's that?
He's willing to run too.
He is. Yeah.
He's
He
a
had,
really smart ball player, and that was really highlighted in the College World Series.
yeah. And the Padres, to me, don't necessarily have like a true first baseman. That infield is kind of like a carousel right now. And you picked up Arias, but you have Cronenworth kind of playing some first base because of that. And it seems like they don't like have anybody significant there. And he plays a pretty solid first. So I think Burke would be a solid fit there. Overall, I have him going to the Yankees because I think that's a much better fit with him taking over for Rizzo. But I think the Padres might just take a big bat. Like they like their flashy players. They like the Machado, the Tatis, and he can hit some bombs. So he would be a fun fit there as well.
He would be
I really
super
like
fun.
this.
He'd be like the Josh Naylor that they traded away.
Yeah.
Don't do the Padre fans like that already. Pick is barely turned in. He got traded.
I'm up with the Yankees here at 26, and it took me a little bit of time to figure out who I liked best. I was really leaning catcher, but you guys kind of convinced me that, I mean, if anything, you can kind of wait on a catcher in the second round if you really want to. And I just can't see him staying on the board like any much longer. I'm going to go Seaver King to the Yankees here at 26. I don't think Oswald Peraza, whatever his name is. I think he's going to get traded at the deadline. I really do. For an arm, Seaver King makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know what Glaber's future stands there. You can move King over to second base if you want to. He's really athletic enough to play sort of any of those infield positions. I like the player a lot. I think there's power there too. I think he's kind of flashy. If you have an up the middle with Volpe and Seaver King in a few years, that could be really fun. You have Roderick Arias and George Lombard Jr. in your farm who are really true shortstops, in my opinion. King's not really that guy. You can even stick him in the outfield if you want to. So I think you're just kind of getting a Swiss Army knife with Seaver King, and I think it makes a lot of sense for the Yankees to take him here.
I just gotta say that I'm so glad you jumped in and made this pick because I thought it was me and I had no idea where I was going with this pick because I originally had Tommy White and I've been spent like the last 3 minutes like who the hell am I going to take here?
Oh, you thought you had the Yankees?
Yeah, I thought I had the Yankees and I'm really glad you didn't take my guy for the Phillies. I'm glad to say
I like this pick.
I do too.
I'm surprised. So I know in ours, like he's dropping to 26, and general consensus is that he's like top 15. To me, his numbers weren't top 15. And I know people are still really high on the athleticism and really high on the versatility you get with him. I mean, he's really like true Swiss Army knife, but he struggled this year. Like he was not the player that people thought he was going to be. And I know he made the jump from D2. There's lots of guys in the ACC that jumped D2 to D1, D3 to D1, and he just didn't put up crazy numbers. He hit just over 300, and like he was getting comps to Mookie Betts coming into the year. People were talking about he's going to win the Golden Spikes. He's going to be the best player in college baseball, and he wasn't really close to it, honestly. I mean, he was probably the fifth or the fourth best bat on that Wake team. I think it's more of an adequate spot to put him in the 20s than it is to have him in that top 12 spot.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
I actually thought he had a 1 and he might have maybe going into regional play. I don't really remember how well he did in that regional, but they were 0-2 and got.
He had a 954 OPS to end the year.
Yeah, I just looked it up and I really thought he had over 1,000 OPS. I remember there was a point where he was raking and things obviously cooled off, but yeah, I kind of with you. I think like the Yankees, like it's not necessarily like a bandbox, but it is like a smaller field. It's notorious for that. Like the park factor grades aren't as like supportive offensively as like a place like Cincinnati, but this might be a place that's like as helpful as any when it comes to like Wake versus the MLB. Like Wake is widely known
Wake is tiny,
absolute bandbox. Like
Totally.
you've seen, I saw Seaver King just hit an absolute missile down the right field line that barely stayed at fair, and it just got over the right field fence. I'm just thinking like how possible and how doable that would be in Yankee Stadium for him. And I think this might be like a perfect fit. Like I don't like the Seaver King fall because I know it keeps happening whenever I'm looking at the draft, but I just like haven't bought the hit tool enough to go with him over a guy like Cam Smith, over any like the infield guys. Like at the very minimum, like if it's a corner guy, like I know the corner guy's got a much better chance at hitting. He might be bad in the field, but like he's like I'm probably gonna have an MLB player one way or another, and I'm just like not 100% sold on that with him yet.
But like the fit makes a lot of sense. Like what you guys are saying, we're like
I love it. Yeah, I think
like the park factors. He could be a guy who could really thrive off those park factors.
I 100%.
And you know he's athletic enough to play wherever you kind of need him to on a given day, and he's gonna play pretty good defense for you too. And I don't know. He just, dude, so much of this draft for me right now is going off vibes, and he's just another one where like he's been mocked to the Red Sox, and I'm like, it doesn't like I can't see him as a Red Sox dude. He just seems like more of a Yankee.
Yeah, I just don't know how you could take him at 12 either.
I agree. I think there'd be a lot more polished hitters at this point that you could take. Let's go to 27 Phillies.
I'm so glad that you didn't take this guy because I know he came up in conversations earlier when the power bats start going.
I'm a feeling. I think I know who this is going to be.
I mean, you want to talk about vibes? This is the guy I've seen. I'm like, this dude is a Philly through and through. It's Dakota Jordan. This dude is a Philly. This dude fits the Phillies team more than probably any player in the whole class for any team, in my opinion. Dakota Jordan is a Philly, and he'll probably end up doing like Philly things, and it's gonna suck because it's gonna happen to the Mets one day, and I'll want to cry. But this dude, like, if I had to force one player to one team, it would probably be Dakota Jordan to the Phillies. I mean, I don't even know who else I would put here. Like, it's just like I don't know. I mean,
he just rakes, dude, and like
Philly in my mind.
I just feel like I could see him in the Phillies locker room, just like being like that dude.
Yeah, I can also see him just falling to the second round though, with how badly he played down the stretch in playoffs when it really mattered. He was nowhere for his team, still hitting in the 3 or 4 hole. So,
yeah, I mean. We talk a lot about like the Vance Honeycutt strikeout problem. I mean, Dakota Jordan struck out about as much as anyone in this draft class, 35%. He had 84 Ks over the course of the season, but he still managed to hit 354. I mean, he just crushes the ball. I think you're right. Like that park would just go berserk for him hitting bombs there. I mean, he's gonna be the guy that like at the pro level hits like 220 but 40 home run upside, like kind of get the Schwarber vibe out of him, and he's just gonna crush balls there. I love that fit.
Straight vibes guy for Philly.
I love it.
I love it. Let's go to. I don't have much to say. I like the pick. Let's go to 28.
Yeah, I think this was pretty clean cut.
Astros, a guy that I'm super high on still. Once in my top 10, Mike Sirota going to the Astros.
That's cool.
He's still out of Northeastern, by the way, outfielder. Really good outfielder. Probably the best plate discipline of anyone in this class, and I think it is above Nick Kurtz. The walks don't necessarily show it, but the swing decision and just like what he does at the dish, he's just such a sound player. Like he does everything so well. I think he's a 2020 guy at the next level. I know his home run. He had a down year this year. He hit 298. 473, 513 with 7 home runs.
Was injured too.
Yeah, he missed some time. He still had 19 swipes. Like he is a 2020 guy. He doesn't chase anything. Like he's going to swing at pitches that he likes. He definitely still strikes out.
Dude,
but the chase rate is tiny.
you have nailed it with the swing decisions with him. When I was talking to you guys before we started recording, even we might have been recording. It's so long ago, I forget when we were talking
I
about
don't think so.
Waterhole.
I don't think we were.
Where he had such good swing decisions. The one guy when we were going through that document that the Mr. Fitzpatrick, I'm forgetting his first name. I think John Fitzpatrick. Shout out if you're listening, John. The one guy with better swing decision plus than Weatherholt, who at 132 was Sirota at 145. I mean, his play discipline is insane. So just keep going with what you were saying about him. But I love
Yeah,
this a lot.
he's awesome. Like swing decision is off the charts. He's a guy that is 2020 upside. He plays a really good outfield. To me, he's like the
He's got a
higher
hose.
floor, safer version of Honeycutt. Like he's just like similar prototype, like kind of wiry, tall guy. I think he's like 6'2", 190 or something. He's like wiry. He's got similar build to Honeycutt. He's just a really fun player. Like I love this prospect. I had him in my top 10 a couple of times, and just an unfortunate year, banged up a little bit, didn't perform at the level that he's capable of, and he's going to fall into somebody's lap late, and someone's going to walk away in the late 20s and say like we stole a pick here.
And for context, with like everyone's obviously not made equally, and he is a college guy, so there might not be as much protection. But Dan's Honeycutt's 6'3", 205, and Mike Schroeder's list at 6'3", 188. So there's a 17-pound difference there between the two of them. So any like power question marks could get answered with just pro strength.
Yeah, I think he'll develop more power in the pros too. Like I think he's a legit 2020, 2030 kind of guy.
He's got a hose too. I mean, he can play anywhere in the outfield. He doesn't have to be center field, but he's got a guy that's athletic enough that you just start up the middle and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to move on to 29 right here. This is my last pick, and Will's done. So that means, OC is going to bring us home, obviously. D-backs. I just can't see this guy falling out of the first round. D-backs are a bit of a weird team to me. I don't really know.
This is my guy.
I'm sure this is
going to be the guy. Caldwell. I already had it typed in for 30. As soon as you said that, I knew it.
I don't know, dude. I just like he'll fit in with Drew Jones in that outfield. They took a college bat in Tommy Troy last year. Jordan Lawler's pretty rated. They have a good infield farm. Gino Gruber's up there too, and then you have Torn and Luis and Ivan Melendez. They need an outfielder, dude. And I think Swade. I do like Jack Hurley though. I do like Jack Hurley in their farm. I think Hurley's a cool prospect. But Slade Caldwell would add to this outfield farm of now, I guess, Jones, Hurley, and Caldwell. I just can't see him falling out of first round. And I'm glad that you had him at 30 just in case I didn't think of him.
Yeah, the same way I said, like, I hate that Seaver King keeps falling whenever I talk about the draft because I just, like, don't believe in the hit tool. It's like the complete opposite with Caldwell. I hate that he keeps falling when I talk about the draft because he is such a talented player, and I think he actually deserves to be way up there. Like, if Cam Kenneddy's gone, like, we might see him go 18 to the race. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to just, like, put a spot for him because – I mean, like, the elephant in the room is the size. He is such a polished hitter as a prep guy, too. It's like he's just going to hit, and he's not going to stop hitting, probably.
He can run, too. He can field.
And I think the comps are there, and I think
overall just really good.
He's like the true outfield version of Jet Williams, I think.
He is. That's exactly what I was thinking. What is he, 5'8", 5'9"?
And he went at 14 to the Mets, and it's working out really well for us so far. Like, I think it's just – like I said, the elephant in the room is the reason why he's falling, and the projectability is not as much there. But I think come draft day, he's going to go a lot higher, and it's going to be completely deserving.
Totally. All right, well, 30. Take us home, OC.
I don't even know, like, what to do here, to be honest with you, because in my actual mock, I had this pick. So, I don't even have,
you had Caldwell to the Rangers.
Yeah. Let's just like make some really like bad connections that don't even really work. Like the Rangers are coming off the World Series win and they're struggling right now. And I mean, Adolis Garcia is kind of getting old, but who knows where that will lead them to. And I think they need a guy that's going to end up doing the job for them. Who do you think it is?
I think, is it Ryan Waldschmidt?
No, it's not.
No.
That might be a really good pick, honestly. But I'm going to go with a guy that just performed in the clutch and just hit the shit out of the ball on the biggest stage of college baseball. I'm going to go Dylan Dreiling. I want to plug him. I want to plug him and Kavaris Tears. So I think they're really talented ball players. I don't know why they're ranked so low. I feel like they're both at least comp picks. Like if either one of them gets the Mets at 46, I will be going crazy. And then if they don't pick them, I'll start freaking out.
I like this a lot for the vibes, and I'm with you on Tears too. I think Tears is a lot better than what he's kind of been mocked at.
Mm-hmm.
But damn. So we have Brecht falling out of the first round in quotation marks.
That's probably a really good pick to play. I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you.
I was thinking Brecht or Waldschmidt, but I actually really like
almost like
Dylan
a
Dreiling here.
Kumar-esque type pick if they were to go Brecht. That's probably like the real answer. I probably should have gone there, but
no, I mean, dude, I could totally see the Rangers taking Dreiling. I'm so serious.
Yeah,
I think it's like a names association type thing, but I feel like Wyatt Sanford could be like a really good pick for them. I really like him compared to like Kellen Lindsley. Like
imagine like a middle of the order with
Wyatt Sanford hitting 2 and Wyatt Langford hitting 3. It's like a same first name, rhyming last name. It'd be like kind of crazy, but I don't know. Sanford's like 175 and Lindsley's like also 175, but they're like, I think they're an inch apart height wise. It's just one of them's definitely like Kellen Lindsey's really fast and he might end up going to the outfield, but Wyatt Sanford is just such a shorthanded shortstop from what I've read. He seems like a pretty solid player, but there's a number of guys. I think you're going to see a lot of preps go in that second round, especially because of how much we filled up this first round with college bats, which I think is how it kind of should go.
Totally. And
yeah, I like this.
We're gonna have to save this and compare it to how the real draft turns out.
Yeah. I actually like this pick a lot. I'm agreeing with both of you. Like I think he's way lower down on the list than he should be. I think he's better than Tears, but I agree. Like I've seen him as low as like 60s, and I don't think he should be in the 60s. Like he's a really solid player. But
is that post College World Series though?
Yeah, that was like as of this week.
Really?
Or I guess it would have been last week. Like at the very end. Yeah, I saw him like in the mid 50s, like into the second round. Yeah, we ended up with some players that I think we can highlight really quick that'll probably be comp picks, or in the first round, but like Brody Brecht, Durangelo Cinchi from Mississippi State, switch pitcher.
I honestly thought one of you guys were going to take him.
Yeah, I've got him in my actual first round. And then I think any of the 3 catchers will go in this round. I don't know which combination. I've seen mocks that have all 3. I've seen mocks that have 1. But some form of Cozart, Moore, and Janik, somebody will go in this first round, I think.
You guys might have killed me because I was really considering taking Caleb Lamavita for the Yankees. Just
I've heard that fit. I have read about that fit. And I think he might be like the best, like got the best chance to be the most well-rounded of the potential first-round catchers. Like he could definitely stick behind the plate, and he's probably got the best chance to be a solid bat.
I totally agree with Will, where I think a lot of the catchers are going to go in the comp, or in our mock in general. I mean, we didn't take a single catcher. I could see the comp round and early second being pretty catcher heavy.
Yeah, I just don't see the value there compared to some. Like I get why catchers would go because there's not much up the middle talent, but as we get to like the back of this first round, I would think like the Kellen Lindseys and the Wyatt Sanfords, the prep shortstops would start going before the catchers would. But should we like just run through who some of our comp picks were? Like I had a couple of guys I thought were really good fits. Carter Johnson, like the elephant in the room for me. Like the comp is literally, I don't know if I said his name. It's Carter Johnson. I don't know if I said that, but just like the Gunnar Henderson comp. Like I've been a huge fan of his for like a while. Like if you saw the combine, if you watch the combine, he looked so lean, and there's a lot of potential for him to add weight there. But he's still like already 180, I think, like 6'2", 180 or something like that. But other than that, since I went Pisano with the Guardians to save a little bit of money, like Griffin Burkholder at 36, just like a tooled up outfielder. Super tooled up outfielder and got so much pop, can run, can field, can throw a little bit. Like, I think that could be like your compensation for not taking Condon, and you go get that potential 5-tool center fielder that way. I thought that was huge.
Absolutely. I like those fits a lot, and I'm excited with the comp picks. I'm just so excited for the draft coming up.
This class is
less than
super
2 weeks
fun.
now. I mean, we went past midnight here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So, dude, I'm
There-
fired
there's-
up. Any final thoughts?
I've got one guy I want to highlight who I actually have in my top 30, but he'll be a comp guy in my opinion. Ryan Johnson, pitcher out of DBU. Dude's just a workhorse.
That's my guy.
I almost mentioned.
I knew you'd like that, but
That's my guy right there. I don't think
I'm
he's
excited
going
to
to
see
be
where
in
he
the first
lands.
round, and I agree with.
I have him at 38 to the Rockies, which I think is a really good fit because he's
that would be a good
huge,
fit.
but he's still like a really low release guy.
Yeah.
And I think like he might end up being like a sinker baller. There's questions about his fastball shape, but he's got the cutter and the slider, which I think would just play well. Like, I think his traits play well for the setting as opposed to like
a sinker baller and cores. Like, the ball's not really gonna. He's not gonna be a fly ball guy.
Instead of going and getting a guy like Chase Burns and having to change him from what he is to fit Core's field, like that doesn't make sense to me. That's why I hate the pick. But I feel like Ryan Johnson's a much better pick for that team.
Totally.
Yeah,
but,
I like that.
Then again, the Rockies aren't smart, so they're probably going to take Burns at 3.
Yeah, true. All right, well,
I'm
that's
good
our,
on my end. I thought this was fucking awesome.
This
I had
is
a
a lot of
blast with you guys.
I've never done something like this, so this was a blast.
Me neither. This got to be a tradition, I think.
Absolutely. That's our show, folks. Be sure to check these guys out. OC Baseball on Twitter. Discuss Baseball on Twitter. Overdue Sports on Twitter. Like, subscribe. Hopefully you made it through this whole thing. I'll be cutting this up over the next couple of days and posting each pick, and you guys can listen to us ramble in short form instead of the whole 2 hours. But hopefully I'll stick around for the whole thing, and we are out of here.